Hey everybody, and welcome back to the StarCityGames.com Invitational. I'm here with Michael J. Flores.
Hey, what's up?
Mike, tell us about your legacy deck. This looks like a mess.
All right, so I'm playing a hybrid Cephalid Illusionist Nomads on Core deck. So I'll let Jeremy go through the various cards just once over, and then we'll talk about how the deck works. So there's a baseline incentive to playing this deck, which is that it's just the fastest deck. So unless somebody's playing Belcher and they get a perfect hand, there's no deck that's faster than this deck.
Okay.
So just as a baseline, I can go first turn Nomads on Core, or a really non-interactive play is first turn Shuko, right? Mm-hmm. So someone could theoretically like plow a Nomads on Core or Lightning Bolt Nomads on Core, just play a Shuko or a Nomads on Core on the first turn, and the second turn you play a Cephalid Illusionist. Mm-hmm. So what happens is either Nomads on Core or Shuko have 0 mana activated abilities that allow them to target Cephalid Illusionist.
Right.
Cephalid Illusionist has like a weird ability, but is actually like his side effect from being an Odyssey block is that whenever he's targeted, you flip over the top 3 cards of your library. So what happens when you flip over the top 3 cards of your library? Well, you flip all these cards over, so in theory you can have your entire library can become your graveyard.
Right.
Okay? So in the process of doing that, you will flip over 1 or more copies of Narcomoeba. You actually only need to flip over 1 copy of Narcomoeba, but you can flip over as many as 3.
Okay.
So if you have a really, really good draw, you can start off with Force of Will backup, so you could force like whatever their interaction is. But then you get, so let's just assume that you flip over these Narcomoebas and this is your board. You have Nomads on Core, Cephalid Illusionist, and 3 Narcomoebas in play.
Okay.
Now,
and pretty much the rest.
And the rest of these cards are in my graveyard.
In your graveyard,
okay?
yeah.
Now, what I can do is I can spend the first 2 Narcomoebas casting Cabal Therapy on my opponent for free. Mm-hmm. So I can get like, whatever interactive spell that he has in his hand, I can get them out of his hand for free. Now, I spend the next 3 creatures, I sacrifice these 3 creatures to Dread Return also for free, and then I target the card, the Mimeoplasm. Okay?
The Mimeoplasm from one of the Commander decks,
okay?
Right.
So this is one of the
Legacy,
this is one of the awesome core innovations of this new version. There's multiple innovations that are going on, but this is one of the core innovations. And what happens is when the Mimeoplasm comes into play, he can remove 2 creatures from a graveyard, and he becomes a copy of one of those creatures with an additional number of +1/+1 counters equal to the power of the other creature.
Okay.
So Mimeoplasm comes into play as a copy of Murderous Redcap, enhanced by Lord of Extinction. Now, when you have all your entire library in your graveyard, Lord of Extinction is very big. He's 50 plus
big.
power. So you have the Mimeoplasm come into play as a copy of Murderous Redcap with the size of Lord of Extinction. So the second turn, you're like, Dread Return, take 50. Now, why is this really good? A, it's awesome to make your opponent take 50 damage on the second turn.
I killed you twice. You don't need to place at game 2, right? Is that how that works?
So, but there's one thing. The other thing is like I lost a game at the last time I played this kind of deck. 'Cause my opponent played a Dueling Grounds. So the previous version of this deck, you get out Kiki Jiki, Karmic God, and then you keep on tapping Kiki Jiki, and then you like attack with a bunch of 2/2 flyers in the air. So you can't actually get locked out by anything that stops the red zone if you just nug your opponent for 50.
Right.
There's also weird stuff like my deck has Aether Vial, so I could actually just win games by just like vialing out the Lord of Extinction and attacking people with a huge guy. Like they're trying to play against your graveyard, and you're like, nah, it's gonna make a huge guy, and I'm gonna put equipment on it. Equipment, you say? So one of the things that I talked about earlier was that we can use Shuko as a proxy for Nomads on Core.
Right.
Okay. This is actually something I think Jelger Wiegersma played in the Grand Prix like 5 years ago when he played a similar deck to this. So I'm lucky enough to have one of my really good friends is Patrick Chapin, and Patrick Chapin's really smart at Magic. I don't know if you knew that. So
Patrick, the innovator.
The innovator said, "Hey, wait a minute. Shuko is an equipment. Who's friends with equipment? Why?"
Squire.
Squire is friends with equipment. So I took a deck that was already the fastest deck in the format and added the most unfair card. So, and it's not just that I have the most unfair card, I have the uncounterable version of the most unfair card in the deck. So if people are like, oh, I have all kinds of ways I will fight against your graveyard, well, tell you what, brah, I'm gonna get Batter Skull, and I will just defeat you with Batter Skull, okay? And you can, after the first turn, you can just never cast another spell with actual manas. You can just do stuff, and your opponent's like, oh, who, what the? The other thing is, there's a card that's actually very good against this deck, which is Umezawa's Jide. If your opponent gets Umezawa's Jide online, it's hard to go off because they can just like put
All your guys
-1
just,
on either of these guys and kill them before you can actually finish cycling through them. I could just play my own Umezawa's Jedi. This actually happens to be a legendary artifact, so F you. In addition, I could just play this. It's a pretty good card, right? So here's something really interesting. My good friend Tom Martell just won a Grand Prix with, I guess, the functionality of like
Lingering Soul.
these 6 cards in my deck. It's important to understand these 6 cards in my deck do everything in Tom's deck. Everything Tom's deck was designed to do, these 6 cards, okay? I still have a turn 2 kill in all my other cards. So it's like, oh, he had a counter spell, he had like some spells or whatever. I have Cabal Therapy, it's the same, right? So here's something. No, he had Lingering Souls. Lingering Souls is a very powerful card.
It's pretty good.
Might not notice this. Say somebody wants to make you slow play, right? Or you get like a really awkward draw. I can just target these 2 and flip over free 1/1 flyers, just like Lingering Souls, and then I can throw stuff on them and attack you in the red zone. I've won innumerable games with like a Shuko enhanced Narcomoeba to the jaw that finished with Vile Out, Murder Shred, Kept to Your Face, Flashback, Cabal Therapy, take 1. Like, it's happened. So the entire functionality of what most people think of as the best deck in Legacy takes up 6 cards in my turn 2 combo kill. But wait, there's more.
There's a sideboard.
There's actually a sideboard. I actually already figured out Lingering Souls by myself before it won. So I actually played way more Lingering Souls before. Until actually, I play tested a lot. People play a lot of, what do you call it? Leyline of the Void. So Lingering Souls is like way less good when people have Leyline of the Void. So I still played one because it's awesome. But the other thing is like you can flip over Lingering Souls for free and then just get free flashies, or you can use it to flashback your flashback cards. So you have these free tokens. You have like A, you have an army, B, you can do that. Now here's this. I have this card and I have all these hate bears, right? So this is the weirdest card. You probably have to read this. Stern Proctor.
It's like a mana war for.
It's a mana war for whatever thing they thought they were going to beat you with. So you're like, I'm just going to cast this. You lose, okay? And it costs 0 mana. That's one thing that's cool. Here's the other thing. Say your opponent has like a Knight of the Reliquary and 14 Scavenging Oozes in play. All you have to do is cast this card. Cast this card, and you're like, I'll pay like 5 life, because your opponent cannot actually try to kill you, or you will kill him.
Limzo's Vault.
So he has to slow play. So I do is I cast this, find this card. Ooh, where did it go? I have another copy. So you find this card. You just cast this card, and your opponent loses on the spot. Why? Because he doesn't have Force of Will. So you cast this card, and he says, it resolves. Now he can take no actions. So he has a Knight of the Reliquary and 14 Scavenging Oozes in play. And I just go this, and they're like, I also have 365 Path to Exiles. They're like, but you can't cast anything or activate any of your utility creatures because I cast this unsung card from the set Weatherlight. Brian Weissman taught me to play it. So and then you just kill them. So like you could just cast this beats half the sideboard cards. This beats all the sideboard cards except for Grafstigger's Cage. And then, or if your opponent's like really wants to be clever, you could just like put in a sword and do this and this, and you already have a baseline set of creatures. You're actually just better than, you're better at all the things that like the fair decks try to do than they are, because your cards are both free and uncounterable. So it's like the mirror match, except for you do twice as many things with half as much land. And then also, if they ever screw up, you kill them.
So what's I'm afraid to ask is what don't you want to see? What deck don't you want to see?
I've only ever lost to like these really weird things. Like,
so you just don't want to see any rogue decks?
No, it's like corner case situations where you know what cards your opponent have in their deck, but then they just draw them, and they're like they've cast no manipulations, and they're like, oh, I randomly have my 1 Crucible of Worlds, a Wasteland, a Mox, and Liliana on the second turn. You're like, well, I guess I could still maybe win. No, wait, I also drew him to Turok. Like, I mean, this is no fun. Like, they didn't do anything special. Like, they're just like, oh, I drew some cards. Or like, you know what card is annoying? Zealots, something. It's like black, white, +1s and -1s. That kills like everything everywhere. So like that's bad. I don't want them to cast it.
So you just don't want to lose to variants, basically. Like, you don't want to face variants.
Like my deck is super fast. Actually, this was Matt Sperling suggested I play this on Twitter like months ago.
Yeah.
And I tried it. So here's the secret of this deck. What does this deck not have, Joey? Let's pretend that these cards don't actually have. These cards don't have a mana cost. Now pretend. What does this deck not have? Green mana, right? So
yeah, I wasn't thinking about that.
Earlier versions of this deck that were played in Legacy play cards like Worldly Tutor, Eldamri's Call, and Living Wish, which is stuff that people name when they cast cards like Cabal Therapy, you name Worldly Tutor. Like, yeah, great, brah. Not in my deck. Where is it? Limdal's Vault does everything all these cards want to do, and it also is pitch eligible for Force of Will. It could get any kind of sideboard card, and in fact, if you pay enough life, you can actually like ensure that you'll win the next turn. If you have enough, you're just like, just keep paying a lot of life. You fix the top card, the top of your deck. You have a hand, and then you're like, ding, 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 cast a Brainstorm, and if you have enough mana, your opponent's just basically nothing they can do. If they're, I mean, let's see, I got a burn deck maybe. Like I don't know, I didn't test against that. I mean, I have like Batterskull, Jide. Like this card's pretty bad against a burn deck.
I think you're pretty well set up. This is really interesting. I can't wait to see this on camera. Hopefully we'll get you on there. But yeah, thanks for sharing your ridiculous deck.
Like so, I actually I hope it'll be successful. It's like
I hope so
super
too.
fun,
It looks really
and
fun.
its potential's is high.
So yeah, that's Mike Flores. This is his crazy innovation to Cephalid breakfast.
We'll call it Innovator Breakfast.
Innovator breakfast. There you go. I'm Joey Pasco here at the StarCityGames.com Invitational. We'll be back later with some more deck techs.